My name is Leslie Germain. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today we're going to be doing a warrior flow. So lots of warrior poses interspersed. And it's going to be a fun flow where we balance both strength and flexibility. So let's find our way to our mat. And if you need any props, I always like to have a couple blocks nearby. But if you don't have any blocks, some books or even some Amazon cardboard boxes can work as well. And you want to have them placed near the front of your mat. Another good option can be a pillow or a bolster or a couple towels rolled up, especially if you have a hard time sitting in a comfortable seat. When we are first new to sitting on the ground, because we're so used to sitting in chairs, it can be a little uncomfortable. You'll notice that most Americans, if we're having to sit on the ground for a long time, do the slouching posture, yeah? This is just what's comfortable for us, although we're achy not too long after sitting like this. But in reality, we want to sit up straight. So instead of having our pelvis tilt in this direction, you want to sit a little more forward on your sit bones so that we can stack the crown of our head over our heart, over our hips, and sit nice and tall. So sometimes you need to have some towels or pillows underneath your sit bones so you can sit that way, especially if your hips are really tight. So use props however you need to so you can feel the pose the way it's supposed to be felt and not force your body into something it's not ready for yet. Okay? So we're going to begin in a gentle twist before we find our way down to the ground. So setting yourself up either on your blankets or your bolster. And then inhale, lengthen the spine, try to sit a little bit taller. Exhale as you rotate over to your right, taking your left hand to your knee, and the right hand can just be right out behind you slightly diagonally. And notice if you're trying to jam yourself into the twist by pulling on your knee here, see if you can control the movement with your spine. So take a deep inhale, you might need to close your eyes here to feel the breath move down your spine. And then exhale, twist. Let's do that a couple more times. Inhale, lengthening your spine. Exhale, with that space you just created, twist into that. Let's do one more. Inhale. Exhale. Beautiful. Coming back to the center. Take a brief moment to feel that. Does one side feel a little looser than the other, even with just 3 breaths? Alright, other side, shifting over to your left very gently. We're not forcing it. Take a deep inhale, sitting up a little taller. Fill up all the way. Exhale through the nose. Maybe you twist a little deeper and then inhale, sit up a little taller again. Exhale, twist. One more, inhale. Exhale. Beautiful, coming back to the center. We're going to find our way down to our backs. And when you lay down on your back, feel free to have the soles of your feet down on the ground. Knees can be pointing up. If that doesn't feel very comfortable for you, you can extend your legs out long. And another option is to come into butterfly legs. So if you have pretty open, flexible hips, so you're not straining in your outer thighs or inner thighs, then feel free to use that as an option. Bringing one hand to your belly, the other hand to the top chest. And we're going to do what I call a square breath here. So we're going to inhale to the count of 3, 2, 1, hold. Exhale, 3, 2, 1, hold. Soften your belly so you can inhale 3 all the way from the chest. 2, 1. Your belly might push up at the end. Hold. Exhale everything out, maybe through your mouth. 2, 1. Hold. And keep moving with that breath pattern. Maybe the count of 3. Maybe you go a little longer. sometimes you might start to shrug your shoulders or tighten your neck because you want to take that deep breath. But allow your body to remain soft and breathe as deep as you can, knowing that. And paying particular attention to the space between the inhale and the space between the exhale. And one more round of your square breath. Last exhale out of the mouth. Beautiful. Letting your arms go out long, either to goalpost arms or out to a T, and then allow your knees to gently roll to the left and then over to your right. Don't worry about your knees touching the ground. We're just trying to find a little bit of movement in the pelvis, the belly, and the spine. It might feel really nice for the outer hips, like a little massage. Okay, before we start moving in our flow, we're going to engage our core muscles because they're really important for a lot of these poses. If our core is activated, we can hold balance easier than if it wasn't. So on your last movement with your knees, push your feet into the ground and draw the low back down into your mat. So hopefully the entire back body is now pressing down into the mat. And then if you'd like, lifting the feet and drawing your hands around your shins for a hug. Soften the jaw. Relaxing the eyes. Taking one more inhale through the nose. And audible sigh through the mouth. Deregulating our nervous system. Keeping your right knee bent into the chest, allow the left leg to go along. So I'm going to give options here depending on what level you'd like to go at. Step one is lifting your head and chest or shoulders off the ground. And notice if you're drawing your sternum towards the feet. I'd rather you lift up to the sky than towards to your feet, okay? And then take your hands off your knee, reaching your fingertips towards that long leg. And then if you'd like to go a little bit more, lift that left leg off the ground, maybe a few inches. Maybe you have to go a little higher to 45-degree angle or so. Find that place that makes you shake a little. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. See if you can draw that right knee into your chest a little bit more. You might even take one hand and squeeze it. Find that compression. And then let go. Hold there. Strong core, strong hip flexors. Beautiful. And we're going to switch sides, reaching the left knee in, right leg long. Let's drop the right leg down and hug the knee in. Your head and back body can come down to the ground just for a moment. Taking a breath. And then lifting once again. Finding your core compression. Squeeze the knee into your chest. Reach your arms out long. And maybe the right leg lifts. And we're going to hold here for a few. Go a little lower with that right leg if you're not shaking a little bit. And then bring both knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. Head comes down to the ground. So we're going to add a little oblique work here, if you'd like. Right leg into the chest, the left leg goes long. This time we're going to bring our hands together, palms together, straight arms. And then taking our arms over to the right, crossing that right thigh, keeping the head and shoulders off the ground, and then switching legs. The left leg draws in as our arms move over to the left. Bicycling your legs here, and seeing if you can keep the head, shoulders, and feet off the ground the whole time as you transition from side to side. And notice if you're twisting the back body extra, try to move through the core of the front body, more so than the shoulders. Let's do a few more. Maybe you move a little faster. Maybe you like the pace that I'm currently moving at. And once again, draw the knees closer to the chest. We'll do two more on each side. How's your breath? Keep breathing. Last one. exhale, release. Take a mini Shavasana. This is a pose we do at the very end of class. It is many people's favorite, and it's one of the hardest because we want to find stillness within the body and stillness within the mind here. But don't worry, we're just taking a new one. All right, draw your knees back into your chest and begin to rock and roll yourself up and down your spine. We want to find our way all the way up to a standing position. So maybe you root your feet and push yourself down to the ground to rise, or perhaps you come up to a seat and then go to your side to find your way up. If you rock and roll, join me, find our way up, and on the inhale, sweep your arms up, palms up. Exhale, hands come down to your side, mountain pose. So taking a moment here to close your eyes and feel your feet. So oftentimes I'll say feel four corners of your feet as though there's a square, more like a triangle. But what I want you to feel is the front and the back of your feet and both sides, the right and the left. So notice if you typically stand a certain way, whether it be forward, backward, or collapse the arches, find balance and equanimity here. Tuck the tailbone slightly down. Strong legs. Inhale, sweeping your arms up, palms up to the top. Exhale as you soften your knees, forward fold. Inhale, hands draw up the shins. Maybe they have to come to the knees for a flat back. Exhale, soften the knees, belly to thighs, forward fold. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, halfway lift, figure 7. Exhale down. Last one, inhale through the nose. Audible sigh through the mouth. Maybe you keep your hands on the ground here, really bending the knees to make sure your belly and thighs are touching. Or you grab your elbows and pull your elbows down to the ground here. And if you'd like, shake your head yes, and maybe no a few times. Moving that cervical spine. Whatever feels better for you right now. Bringing your hands down to the ground, walking the left foot back, and then the right foot back. Downward facing dog. So just like we were doing in our forward fold, we're going to bend our knees a lot here. Bend your knees so much that you can push your hands into the ground and find length through the spine. So when you straighten your legs, and if your lower back compensates by hunching, then we're not getting the full benefit out of this downward facing dog. And we want healthy spines because we're going to be using those spines for the rest of our lives, right? So bend the knees to find length and a straight spine here while pushing the hips up and away. And maybe you start to cycle the legs here by bending one knee, drawing opposite heel down, and then switching sides. And switching sides again. One more time. And so in your downward facing dog, I don't care how long in the practice you have bent knees, I don't care how high your heels have to remain lifted. Over time, the more you practice, your legs will straighten a little bit more, your heels will get a little closer to the ground. There's always work to be done. Inhale as you send that right leg up high, inner spiral of the front thigh. Toes are pointing down. Exhale, draw your knee in towards the chest. Hips can stay lifted slightly. Inhale, kick the leg back out. Let's do that 2 more times. Exhale, knee comes a little bit closer. One more, inhale. Exhale. Maybe you draw your nose to your knee. Drop your foot in between your hands. If you can't reach there, you can scoot it forward slightly. Pivoting that back heel down to the ground. Pushing your feet, root to rise. Inhale, warrior 1. So in your warrior 1 here, we're going to work on drawing the right hip back, left hip forward. notice it's a little bit easier for you to shift the pelvis so the right hip goes back, the left hip goes forward. Keep pushing back through the back edge foot of your toes. Reach your arms up overhead and exhale to goal pose arms. I'm going to shift slightly so you can see my arms here. And then squeezing your shoulder blades behind your back. Exhale, bringing the pinky edge side of your hands together. Inhale, open. Exhale, you're protracting the shoulders behind you. One more, inhale. Exhale. Beautiful. Reaching your hands now behind your back. Interlacing your fingers if you have that within you. Still in warrior one leg. And then straightening your arms to whatever capability you can. Sternum lift, chest lift on your inhale. Exhale, come down halfway, looking down at the front foot. Engage the belly here, drawing the navel into the spine. One more inhale. And maybe you stay here, or maybe you drop the belly a little deeper, so the right rib cage is now resting on the right thigh. If you make it that far, allow your head and neck to soften here. And we'll be here for 3 and 2. One more breath. Exhale, taking your left hand down to the ground. If you're unable to reach the ground, find that block or some books and place it right underneath your left hand. And then inhale, send your right arm up for a twist. And that back leg, you might have to lift the heel over the toes, especially if that right outer hip is screaming at you. Go ahead and do that. And over time, that back heel will be able to remain grounded, but work with whatever you have right now. One more breath. Exhale, bringing that hand down on the inside of the foot and walking your hands over to the left to come to center. Pivoting your feet so your toes are pointing in the same direction. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, soften the knees, bringing your hands down for a forward fold. Once again, soften the knees as much as you need so you're taking this out of your hamstrings and allowing the low back to find a stretch here. Head reaches for the ground. Don't worry, I don't want it to touch the ground. It's just reaching energetically to create more space. And then walking your hands back towards the front of your mat. Your feet will pivot to point towards the front of the mat. Right leg comes back behind you, downward facing dog. Once again, walking your dog out here if you need to. Or if you're ready to find stillness, go there. Maybe walking that right foot a little in more towards center if you felt a little wobbly on the other side as you lift your left leg up high, keeping the hips square, toes point down. Inhale. Exhale, bringing your knee towards your chest. Inhale, keep the leg back up to the sky. Exhale, knee to nose. One more. Inhale, moving with your breath. Exhale, slowly bringing your foot down wherever it lands. Slowly heel toeing it forward. Back heel pivot. And on your inhale, rise, warrior one. Exhale, goalpost arms once again, squeezing the shoulder blades behind you. Exhale, as you start to protract the shoulder blades, finding a dome back there. The pinky edge side of your hands will find each other. Inhale, open. Exhale. One more inhale. Keep a bend in that front knee. Back leg is straight. Exhale. Releasing your hands behind your back. Finding your fingers. Inhale, chest lift. Exhale, halfway. Keep pushing that back edge of the pinky edge side of your foot down. Maybe you stay here if this feels nice and lovely to you, or maybe you keep going down a little lower. Belly to thighs, humble warrior. Head and neck soften as you make it there. And we'll be here for 2 more breaths. Strong legs. Allow your hands to move away from your body. Exhale, releasing your hands down to the ground. This time the right hand comes down to the blocks or the ground if it can find it. Left arm reaches up for the twist. So the goal is to have wrist over wrist here. So notice where that left hand is in relation to your right. And if you need to lift that back heel over the toes, go ahead. No one's watching. Exhale, left hand comes down to the ground. Step the right foot forward to meet the left. Yeah. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, soften the knees, forward fold. This time taking that right foot back first and then the left. Coming into plank pose and holding here for 5. Strong legs forward. See if you can straighten the backs of the knees a little bit more. 2. And 1. Knees down, chest down, chin down. Or you can do chaturanga, keeping the knees lifted. And it's sort of like a push-up, except your elbows are squeezing into your ribcage. And then come all the way down to the ground, untucking your feet. Once again, interlacing your hands behind your back. And then inhale as you lift your chest off the ground, pushing all 10 toes into the ground. See if you can lift up a little bit higher. Strong core, strong legs. And maybe you straighten those arms and lift the hands off your back for 2. And 1. Exhale, hands come back under shoulders. Tuck the toes, lift your sit bones to your heels, and then lift for your downward facing dog. Inhale, sending your right leg up high, this time stacking the hips. So instead of squaring the hips, we're lifting the right hip up, high up into the air. One more breath here. Keep that right leg long. Exhale, bring the right foot through, or as close as you can. Let it land, back heel pivots down. Inhale, warrior 2. So warrior 1, we're facing forward. Warrior 2, we're doing an external opening. So the hips are opening away from each other. Okay? There's still a bend in the right knee. The left leg is straight. And it's bent at an angle where my heel is slightly out more than my toes. Arms reach out to a T as you gaze over your right fingertip. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Exhale, bend in the knee. 2 more times. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Notice how wobbly that front knee is. Try to make it a little less though. 1 more. Exhale, beautiful. Inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale. As you send the right fingertips forward, left hip back. So we're hinging from the hips here. The pelvis has a little tilt. The left hip goes back, right fingertips reach forward. Eventually, you won't be able to go any further. Your flexibility has only so much range in it right now. Then you drop your right hand wherever that is. It might be above the knee, might be below the knee. For some people, it's the toes. I'm gonna go right below the knee and reach the left arm, wrist over wrist, reaching for the sky. Steady your breath. Still your mind. And doing some shoulder rotations here as we reach the fingertips towards the front of the mat, back down, and up again. And make big, wide circles here. Maybe you add a little back bend into it when you reach so far up. Last one. And finding your way back into your triangle pose. Slowly bending that front knee once again. And maybe your elbow hooks right on top of the knee. So it was grabbing on to your shin. Now you're going to have the elbow resting on the knee. Top arm sweeps down and up for extended side angle pose. So this is another pose where if you want to use your block or bring your hand down to the ground, you can. So imagine there's a block there. You could bring your hand down to the block, Or if you're super flexible, right hand comes all the way down to the ground and you bend a little deeper into the front knee. But pay attention to that back foot. Make sure that you're not collapsing on your arch. Push down. One more breath. Inhale, coming back up to your warrior two. Hands come to hips. Once again, rotating our feet instead of pointing towards the left side of our mat. And this time, instead of our toes pointing forward, we're going to slightly draw the heels in, toes out. Coming down halfway, preparing for goddess pose. So we've done a few warriors. Now time to do our inner goddess for both men and women. Bring your arms up as though you're holding platters in the air. Sit a little bit lower. And notice if your knees are drawing in here, so you can pull them a little further away from each other, having an external rotation in those outer hips, pulling down, down, down. Sit a little bit lower. I know. Woo! All right, keeping a bend in the knees, taking your hands down to your knees on the insides of the thighs, and then drop that right shoulder down, maybe gazing over the left. And then switching sides, left hand pushes into the knee as the left shoulder drops, maybe gazing up to the right, but feels okay in the neck. We'll do one more on each side. How's your breath? Beautiful. Inhale, straightening the legs, sweeping your arms up. Exhale as you bring your hands down to the front of your mat. Right foot comes back once again, downward facing dog. Inhale as you send your left leg up high, stack the hips. If this feels excruciating in your body, feel free to lift the right heel off the ground a little higher and push your hands into the ground to find that lift as your hips push up and away. One more breath here. Exhale, drawing the knee in towards the nose. Letting the foot land, walking it in between your hands, the back heel pivot, warrior two on the other side. Bend in the front knee, gazing over the left fingertips. Inhale, straighten the front knee. Exhale, bend. Two more, inhale. Don't worry about how deep you go, just finding a little bit more movement. One more. Inhale as you lengthen. Once again, finding our way to triangle. Right hip moves back. There's a little tilt of the pelvis. So the left hip drops, right hip drops back. Left fingertips reach forward. Your best friend is out there 6 feet away at least. Exhale, drop the hand down to the ground. Right arm reaches up. Triangle pose. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you start to make those big rotations with the arm. Finding movement along your rotator cuff. I'm doing 5 of those overall if you went there. Really working on finding your maximum reach in every single direction. On your last one, coming back into your triangle pose. And then starting to bend that front knee. Maybe the elbow comes back onto the knee. For extended side angle, top arm now reaches down and up overhead. Working on a straight line to the back heel to the fingertips. One more breath here. Exhale, coming back into your warrior two. Hands come to hips. Squaring the hips forward. Back heel flips over the toes. So that left leg is forward, right leg is back. Back leg attempts to straighten as much as you can. It's okay if you have a bend in that back knee. Over time, more flexibility will happen in that front thigh. Inhale, your arms reach up overhead. Exhale, bring your hands together, heart center. And then start to lean your chest forward, like we did in that humble warrior. where our chest was starting to work towards becoming parallel with the ground, rooting some weight into that front foot, and then slowly shifting your weight forward until that right leg floats off the ground for warrior 3. You've done 1, 2, and now 3. Square your hips, inner spiral of the front thigh, toes point down. If you fall out of it, get back up. Try again. One more breath. Beautiful. Exhale. Slowly drawing that right foot down as you stand tall. Mountain pose. Releasing your arms down to your sides. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale. Soften the knees, forward fold. Taking your left leg back. Keeping the heel lifted over the toes. Root the right leg and then inhale, stand up into that high lunge. Pay attention to that back knee, see if you can straighten it a little bit more. Taking a deep stretch here. And the deeper you bend to the front knee, the more you'll feel it. Exhale, hands to heart center. Once again, shifting your torso down halfway. And then slowly, over time, shifting your weight into the front foot as the left leg floats off the ground. And don't worry if you have a bend in that right knee. Push the ground away. Working for a straight line from the crown of your head up through the left heel. One more breath. Beautiful. Exhale as you start to stand tall. The left leg will come down to the ground like a little seesaw. Walking your legs out, hip distance apart. Coming all the way down to the ground, either through a low squat or to a seat. Beautiful. Bringing your feet together. Butterfly pose. If you need to place the blankets or blocks underneath your knees, go ahead. Inhale, straighten the spine. Exhale, hinge from the hips. Forward fold. Maybe you bring your hands down to the ground as you let your head and neck release. If you'd like to go a little bit deeper, you don't have the blocks underneath your hips, you can place the blocks underneath your forearms. 1, 2. So the blocks can come here, or they can come here. And then you rest your forearms down, and soften the breath. Soften the gaze. We'll be here for about a minute. Breath, we try to go a little deeper, taking our time, not rushing ourselves to the ground. And the longer we stay in these poses, the less fear we hold. So if you're in this pose and you're shaking and your muscles are tight, then your body won't allow you to open up into a deeper pose. It's holding on to fear. The only way for you to find more flexible here in a safe way, safe being a key word, is to let go of the fear. And to do that, you might need to support yourself with those blocks. And take your time. This could take years to go all the way down to your belly. You might have been a dancer or a gymnast growing up, and you're already down, flat on your belly. Coming back to the square breath that helped you earlier in the practice by inhaling to the count of 3, 2, 1, holding. Exhale, 3, 2, 1, hold. And then walking yourself up. We're going to find our way all the way down to our back. Bringing the soles of your feet back down to the ground. Arms go back out wide. Let's bring our feet together this time as you allow your knees to fall over to the left and gaze to the right. The belly twist here. Bring awareness back to your breath. Soften wherever you can soften, whether it be your hips, your toes, or your jaw. right as you gaze to the left. So if your knees are really, really far apart, you can place a block or a blanket in between the knees. That way the pose can help release that low back instead of holding tension. And if your knees are together, then don't worry about it. Beautiful. Drawing your knees back up, soles of the feet down to the ground, arms and legs reach long, finding your way into Shavasana, so the toes might fall out towards the corner edges of your mat. Puffing your chest up slightly here so you can draw your blades a little closer together and then relaxing again. Palms face up, closing your eyes. And listening to your breath. Feeling the quality of the inhale. Space in between. And the smoothness of the exhale. And the space at the bottom. And allowing your breath to move naturally to its own rhythm. We're playing with a square breath here. As you find stillness in your inner warrior within. If you lost your breath, come back to it. Reaching your arms up overhead, having a deep breath. And then pushing yourself up by either rolling to one side, coming to a comfortable seat. Closing your eyes here, just take a moment. Maybe your hands come to your heart. Notice how you feel. Not just your physical body, but your energetic body, your emotional body. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you have a wonderful day.